Fine. Hello, welcome to Undisputed Boxing. We're back. We're banging out the videos tonight. It's boxing news time. There's quite a few things we need to catch up on. I don't think we've actually spoken, have we, since the WBC convention, or have we? Or we haven't spoken about it.
I think we have covered this, but I don't think we knew everything that was going on. Not saying that we do now, but more things have developed, I think.
Yeah, so let's talk about it. Just before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, please hit the like and subscribe button. Check out some of our other videos. We like to throw out some predictions for the big fights.
We're on 99. We just need one more for 100. So come on, be that one. It worked last time we were on 49.
All right, where do we start? Okay, let's do so we caught up, I think, not long after Dillian Whyte's fight with Otto Walling was called off, and WBC was saying we're going to call for Dillian Whyte to be mandated, or the winner of that fight will be mandated to fight Tyson Fury. I said I just can't see it happening. There's too many kind of obstacles, and it seems in a roundabout way that is becoming true. But yeah, what's your? I'm hearing today that Top Rank and Queensbury are going to start negotiating the Tyson Fury's next fight, and they're going to try and get him out end of March in the UK. And a fight talking about is Joyce.
Well,
thoughts?
Fury's been having interviews, and he says he wants to be out late February, early March, latest. So you need to get a wriggle on, really. If you're hitting the first weekend in March or the second weekend in March, you need to be, you know, for a biggish fight, you need to be announcing it before Christmas, don't you, really?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
But yeah, so it looks like the WBC have not called the fight with Whyte. They've not called anybody else, so no one's leapfrogged him, but they've just not called him as mandatory because there's some legal stuff going on between Whyte and the WBC, which seems to be around the purses or the splits, should we say. So I don't know if they were about to announce it or they were getting ready to announce it, and Whyte was expecting more like the 40%, 40-60, because he is a WBC international champion or silver belt, one of those things.
55-45, I think it is,
rules. If you have this belt and you go for and you're a mandatory, you get a 60-40 split better than a normal 20-80 or whatever it might normally be. But with the WBC, like, rules don't really exist. It's kind of what they feel on the day. And something to do with, they had to submit their most recent purses, and Whyte submitted 300 grand for his last fight. Now, this is what Warren said, and I'm not sure how much I believe Warren, or there'll be an element of truth and there'll be something not quite giving us the full information on this, I would have thought. But they've basically gone, because you earned 300 grand last time, there's no way you're going to get 40% of this, because it'd be a huge purse. Now, I don't know if that 300 grand's right. That would have been the Povetkin rematch. He would have been on probably less of a split for that rematch. It was in Gibraltar with very few fans, but I think 300 grand is not what, I think he would have got way more than that. So I don't quite get it. But anyway, it seems to be that there's an arbitration going on about that, and I don't know how long that's going to go on for. Hearn said they'll get to a conclusion quite quickly, but we know how long these arbitrations go on. Now, it might be that next week the arbitration's done and they say, right, you've got to pay him 40%, and then we're probably on the way, I would have thought, because the WBC will then have to do that. And well, I don't think Tyson Fury's mob can do anything about that, really. But it's like, how long does that go on for? In the meantime, if it goes on for too long, Fury can just sort out another fight, and then Whyte has to wait again, and he'll then have to fight someone, or if he does fight next time round, he would have been out the ring for a long time. So I don't know. It looks like he would have got his shot, but it's now more about not being on 20%.
It's a giant mess, isn't it? I'm not sure. I think God, I don't even know where to start with this. It is a bloody mess, because Eddie Hearn and Matchroom were kind of banging the drum, and they're saying, yeah, a WBC convention is next week or it's 2 weeks away or whatever, whenever they were interviewing. And they were saying, we fully expect, them to announce Dillian Whyte as the mandatory challenger. And they didn't. And they're now saying, we've not announced it because, there's, arbitration going on. And we all know that if you've bought a house or if you've done...
said that. The WBC haven't said why. It's just people's take on it that they haven't done it because they're not going to announce it while they're in arbitration with that person.
Yeah.
But that hasn't been announced by the WBC, but that's what's assumed.
Yeah, exactly. And they did say, so they basically reneged on whether it was Maurizio Solomon or somebody else in the WBC that said that, Dillian Whyte will be announced as the mandatory challenger, or the person that holds the WBC silver belt or the international belt, whatever it is, will be announced as the mandatory challenger. But now the door is open for Tyson Fury to negotiate a voluntary defense. And this could leave Dillian Whyte out in the cold again, probably until next summer, when the final. Because anybody that's bought a house or had anything that's involved lawyers knows that it can drag on for weeks, months. So
I mean, maybe in his view, and this would be where you would be right, but I never saw this one coming. He may go, I'm pretty sure we're going to win this. It might go on for a few months. I'm happy for Fury to fight. There's a risk he loses, but he might be banking. I don't know what happens if Fury loses, Jesus. But he may think, I'm happy to wait 6 more months if I'm going to get 40% rather than 20. Financially for him, because that is. I don't know how much he makes in a normal fight, but I would have thought someone like him would be making 2 or 3 million when he's been doing the pay-per-views. Dillian Whyte, I don't know. I don't know if 300 grand would make much sense, but I would have thought 2 or 300. 2 or 3 million. I don't know how much this fight generates, but it is a big one. I imagine it's a 30 to 40 million generating one. So
really?
The difference between.
Do you think it's that big?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's north of $1 million on pay-per-views in the UK.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And imagine the fireworks between them two.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing.
The Wembley job as well.
Yeah. There's a stark contrast between Tyson Fury versus Joyce, which does maybe 250, 300 buys, and it's just there's no interest in that at all. I just do not want to see that. I mean, they're pals, aren't they? They've sparred loads of rounds.
If we do the maths, it's basically if it's say it's a £30 million fight, which that wouldn't surprise me. It's the difference for Whyte of between the difference of 6 million and 12. So it's a 6 million swing if we're going from 20% to 40%. He's probably that's 2 fights.
Yeah.
So he's probably happy to go. I'll wait another 6 months for another. If I go from 6 to 12 million.
Yeah.
Now there's a danger that he becomes ring rusty, or he fights someone and gets beat in between, or Fury gets beat. Don't know what happens then. Or he may just think he's expecting this in the next few weeks, and therefore it'll get called straight, very quickly. I don't know, but the difference between 20 and 40 in a fight like this is worth probably having a fight about.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. So what do you reckon? What do you see happening? Fury versus Joyce, end of March, pay-per-view, and then Dillian Whyte has to have a tune-up and wait his turn.
I've not heard the indications from Hearn. I know this doesn't mean it's gospel like it is when Warren speaks. Is that they don't expect this to be drawn out. They're expecting a conclusion soon, as in maybe this month still. Really? So I think if they get a conclusion in this month, which is only a week away, then he's probably still next in line. It's just how far this goes on, and I think if this goes too far into next month, they will have done a deal to a point where the WBC will just say, well, that deal's in place now. I mean, they may be racing to do a deal now because the WBC may have said to them, if you get a deal in place, then that blocks us from calling it whenever this comes about.
Right.
I don't know. But
Well, we should see. I really do hope it gets resolved, and I am actually pleased to hear that Tyson Fury is going to be looking to get back into the ring in February, March time. I really did think he was going to have a bit of a layoff and wait until maybe the summer. But
it just gets messy, this, because the other risk is, and this will be a bugger for Hearn as well, is that if there is a delay and he fights Joyce in March and beats Joyce, and then Joshua beats Usyk, the Undisputed's back on in the second half of the year, which Hearn will want probably more than White. So Hearn's probably just like us. He's probably like, if we don't get this fight in now, the Undisputed could come about. If it's Usyk, he probably won't care and he'll try and get White in. It probably won't happen anyway. You know what I mean? So that's the danger with White doing this. If he delays it, they could go, right, well, actually we'll go to the Undisputed next before calling this. So and let's be honest, whoever wins this next fight between AJ and Usyk is going to be up for the Undisputed.
Yeah.
Because they're free. So. They're free. There's no contractual things after that. And why wouldn't they want to fight, get the final belt?
Yeah.
So
I think it all depends. It depends on the mandatory for WBA and WBO and IBF. I'm not sure if they're going to be called next year.
Well, the IBF who's who at the moment, do they? No one's fighting.
No. Hergovich.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We've dissected that as much as we can, I think. What else have we got? Pay-per-view buys for Terence Crawford versus Sean Porter, rumoured to be around about 190,000.
Yeah. I mean, I remember in a few interviews, a few promoters, including Mr. Hearn, but others as well, were saying that, it's a great fight, in terms of quality. And it was a great fight. But in terms of, the personality and the build-up, it just wasn't there. So it was only really hardcore fans that were going to be tuning in, and maybe a few others, but it wasn't going to capture the pay-per-view market. And that's been the problem really with Crawford all along to some degree.
It has. It's also a real problem with boxing.
About right, to be honest.
Yeah. It's also a real problem with boxing in America as well. It's it feels like there's only ever been a handful of fighters over the years that have just been able to generate that kind of pay-per-view. Pay-per-view star. I mean, if you look at Andre Ward versus Kovalev, when that was made at the time, great fight, light heavyweight supremacy. And I think it bombed. It did like 120, 130,000 buys. And then I think that the rematch did maybe another 20,000 more. I mean, Andre Ward was another one who really kind of struggled. He never really got that kind of, sort of following as good as he was. I was a big Andre Ward fan, but he never got the huge fan base and the credit, I think.
Yeah, you have to be a very good fighter, but you have to build a kind of a personality thing to it, a profile. It's common sense, really. And also, there's a lot of pay-per-view going on.
Yeah.
In America, with the YouTubers, Tank, there's another one we're going to be talking about soon. Is there a bit of an overload of it? Plus paying for your DAZN subscription and all that.
Yeah, it's all going to have an effect, I think. It's definitely a saturation going on. But okay. What other news do we have?
Well, on the news, I want to talk about pay-per-views. It is official now, the 1st of January, Charles Martin and Ortiz. Again, an intriguing fight for the hardcore, and I'm interested in it. It's almost like two fighters that have fought some of the best, but they're not the best themselves, but it's still intriguing. And it'd be an interesting one to predict actually when we get near it. But that's on pay-per-view, and you're like, okay.
It's ridiculous.
Weirdly, it's on for like, I think $29.99 or $39. It's about around half or even more than half cheaper. So it's weird because it's kind of, that might bring more people in, or but it's also a sign that here you go. It's not quite as good as what we normally put on pay-per-view. That's why it's cheap. But yeah, they're really. I don't know if they're taking a risk on that one. I don't know what the guys are expecting, but I don't know. You look at those two and you go, like, how are you expecting pay-per-view money? I don't know. It's like Ortiz. Neither of them are normally pay-per-view stars on their own. They've been in pay-per-view because they've been fighting pay-per-view people for belts.
Yeah.
But when Ortiz been in a pay-per-view without Wilder, and has Martin headlined a pay-per-view without AJ?
No.
So why?
And you got to think. I know, and you got to think of the manner. I mean, I know it was a few years ago now, but the manner of defeat of Charles Martin, he got absolutely ran through by AJ. However many years ago, and he's just been left in sort of obscurity. I know he's come on a bit of a comeback trail and has got some, half decent wins, but still.
Washington's his only half decent win. I mean, I don't even rate that much Ortiz and his record. Struggled with Dave Allen. He's got one decent. Who's the fighter he beat quite a few years ago?
Ryan Jennings.
Yeah, so that's the one respectful. But that was ages ago.
Yeah. He did that dance with Malik Scott in Monaco. That was an awful. That's probably one of the worst fights I've ever seen.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, he's been banjoed twice by Wilder, who's since gone on to be made not to look that great by Fury. So that kind of downgrades him even more. So it's bizarre. It's a bit desperation. It's almost like we need to get these two a fight. We'll put them together. The loser probably retires. And try and give them a payday. But I imagine they're on very low guarantees. Yeah,
that'd have to be. Yeah, all right. Well, I think we've ranted on enough about that one. Joe Smith Jr. versus Callum Johnson for the 15th of January. WBO light heavyweight fight that's been announced. Also, Tony Yoka versus Carlos Takam. You told me about this. I think that's going to be on the same card because all four of those are with Top Rank. So if that's on the same card, that's a decent night of boxing, in my opinion, for January.
Yeah, both intriguing. For Yoka, I don't know who's the best person on Yoka's record, but again, it's a good yardstick, isn't it? It's like, it's interesting that he's got this rivalry with Joyce, even though they don't tend to talk more through the Olympics, and that might be something that will bubble up and be a selling point one day. But they'd probably wait till they get further up. If Joyce did get his hand on the belt, that'd be probably the time. But it's almost like the last Joyce fight was Takam, and so it's interesting that they've got him now, and it might be right. You went to points, didn't it? To go to points against
which now
the Joyce Takam, or was it a late stoppage?
Late stoppage, wasn't it?
They throw the towel in or something.
I think it was.
We watched it together.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Well, I probably tried to take it out.
This is a sign we're getting old. I think it was. It did stop him. Yeah. I don't know if it was just maybe just through volume. I can't remember. I need to go back to it.
But it felt like it was late rounds, I think.
Yeah, late rounds. So,
Yoka will want to go in and prove something.
Yeah, it's a decent fight. I've got to say, I'm really looking forward to Joe Smith Jr. versus Callum Johnson. I think that's a great fight.
Yeah, probably Callum Johnson last go probably.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly that. It's his last chance of a big, a world title. And wouldn't it be amazing if he did it? In New York.
Is he mandatory then, or is this a voluntary? Because won't there be a rematch?
I believe it's a voluntary. I believe it's a voluntary defence because he's obviously with Queensberry. They're obviously closely affiliated with Top Rank, making a lot of fights together.
I know you said that the winner of Arthur and Yard will get the winner of this, but if it's a voluntary, you'd think Joe Smith Jr. has a rematch clause.
If it's a voluntary defence, yeah, he probably will do.
Therefore, they can't say that it's who would fight the winner.
If Joe Smith wins, which I would probably expect him to win, to be honest, I would be backing Joe Smith Jr. in that one. It's going to be a tough fight. It'll be a fun fight, but I think I think Joe Smith Jr. wins that for me. But yeah, we can obviously dissect that nearer the time. Yeah, so it's going to be, we've got a lot to get through. Obviously, you're going to be going away for a couple of weeks, so there's going to be a bit of a barren spell.
Yeah, January's filling up though, isn't it? And hang on a minute, we've forgotten one here, which is our favourite fight to talk about that will never take place.
What?
You brought it up today. I think it's a January fight.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, Amir Khan versus Kell Brook is rumored to be done for the 19th of February.
Where's your source?
There's actually a couple on Twitter. I got one from Michael Benson.
Coppinger?
No, I don't think Coppinger's that bothered about this one. He hasn't really been tweeting that much, but Michael Benson has tweeted about it and saying
who's putting it on? Is there any word on promoter?
Yeah, not confirmed yet. Not confirmed. I wouldn't be surprised to see it on ITV pay-per-view or something quirky like that.
Or Sky.
Possibly. They're on a bit of a bad run at the moment, aren't they, with cancelled fights or cancelled main events?
Yeah, but they need a pay-per-view, don't they?
Yeah, they do. It's a good shout.
I mean, the risk with this is that both fighters would want some big guarantees, and it's interesting to know. I think that fight would have done $1 million plus, probably at the right time.
Yeah,
around about close to $1 million, maybe not over $1 million, at the right time. I think it probably does half that now.
Yeah, it's a real shame. It's a real shame it didn't happen.
Yeah, I don't know how much that money that creates, and also you could probably have it. I imagine you have it. It's a stadium fight. It's not a Wembley, but you could have it at a Bolton Wanderers or something like that, or the Sheffield one. I'm not sure about February though. So I think that have to be an arena. But they'd fill the MEN. But I probably only see it as a I don't know, creating £6 or £7 million. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And is that someone's might have to take a risk, because I imagine both of them want more than half of that.
Yeah, Amir Khan certainly will. I think Kell Brook always strike. He just wants that fight. He just wants that action.
Yeah, I mean, he might take 2 or 3 million, Kell, for that fight. But I think Khan would want five, and maybe that's how it'd work out. Maybe it is, 7 million and it's 4-3 or something like that, or 5-2, and Kell's like, do you know what? It's probably my last fight. Who else am I going to get 2 million from?
Yeah.
And then it might work, but I can't see it making more than that.
No, I can't. I mean, I'm definitely 100% going to watch it.
But
we'll see. Yeah. Time will tell.
It's the fights I slag off the pay-per-view, but I'd be the first bugger to buy one. It's just what the masses are going to do, not me.
Yeah, exactly. We're in the minority.
If everybody was like us, boxers would be making like trillions.
Quite literally. All right, great. Well, let's wrap it up. I don't think there's anything else, is there?
No, I'll see all our subscribers in a few weeks. I'm back from a holiday.
So we'll do the next video first towards the end of the first week of December. We'll do a catch up and a review on all of the predictions that we've put forward. I'm sure you'll be having a laugh and a joke of my Lyndon Arthur prediction. But yeah, let's see how it goes. Enjoy.
And obviously we'd have to do because we'll be close to if we do one on the Friday or the Saturday when I'm back, then on that Saturday is the Ben fight, which I'll be at unless a cancellation takes place.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of predictions to get through. I think we do a prediction for Ben Algieri, Parker versus Chisora, and I think we do a prediction for a laugh for Tommy Fury versus Jake Paul. I think they're the big ones left in the calendar. It's on the same night as Parker Chisora.
Yeah.
So I do a prediction for that as well.
Do they know what the fights in America? I know we've got the ones we've just predicted. Are there not any other big ones?
I don't think there's any big ones unless I'm missing one. Don't think so.
Okay.
None that I can think of
Right,
anyway. All right, cool. Enjoy. Speak to you soon.